Good morning, everyone. I hope you liked that awkward pause. That was for Dex. He's given us some constructive feedback, so we're going exactly the opposite way. Also, I forget that I'm supposed to do the introduction and sit there staring at these guys trying to do it as well, because still haven't recovered from the loss of the young Cam. Hopefully, he returns one day.
Oh, I was going to say, I think you might need to clarify that. So I'm glad you said hopefully he returns one day.
Yeah, hopefully he returns one day, and I think he'll be like Master Luke when he's gone off the train with Yoda and come back like a true fish Jedi and smash everything. So how has everyone, like he's gone away to train with Amano and he come back and he's a fish god.
Woo!
Okay, so there's the fishy related bit. Kim gets away if you don't.
Straight over my head.
What's that?
Star Wars reference.
Right.
I feel you. Star Wars.
You're not Star Wars fans. Okay, well there you go. Hopefully there are some actual cool fish people out there that like Star Wars as well. So we'll find them. How has I've got to be careful not to be too specific here. How has everything been in your guys' fish rooms? Awkward silence. Yep, I like it.
Who's going
Matt.
Pretty quiet week for me. Not too much going on. Spent some time on the weekend going through my grow out tank, pulling out some stuff that has some good potential. Other than that, my Julie's bred, and then someone ate the eggs, so that was a great time. And much to Ryan's disgust, I got some more Tropheus eggs, which he told me that they didn't count as spawning. Just to update you on that, they are now free swimming, and there's 18 of them.
Does that still not count as a spawn?
If they are alive things, then it counts as a spawn, yes.
Awesome.
So I'll add that to the running tally. So what we're at, a shitload for me, and how many have you got?
0.
Are you finding it hard?
I had to actually buy some, so that's to make my number go up.
Are you finding it hard to count your Telly Ryan, or is it quite easy to count that number?
And it's an easy number to count. It's yeah, Helen's on the Star Wars buzz. She got it. She picked up on it.
It's not that I don't like it. I've just never watched.
Yeah. I tried once. I got about half an hour and I was like, my God, this is the biggest crock of shit movie ever. This is so freaking boring. And I turned it off.
You got half an hour longer than me. I started and it got halfway through the intro. And I was like, no, I've got better things to do.
100%. It's just such a... No.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
Well, you probably remember the premiere of it. In fact, you might even remember the script writing type stage of it. You're that old. I feel like I've taken Cam's place with that little dig.
And Matt, did your Frontosa go anywhere?
I was just going to give an update on that because I know everyone was so excited about the Frontosa chat last week. So the day after that stream, the eggs got spat. So, boo.
Yeah, that happens with the small ones, eh?
Yeah. So, just went to feed them. And in the flurry of excitement, eggs went flying and got gobbled up.
Oh, well. It takes time.
But that's okay. There'll be more. Other than that, there's a few things going on with some community fish that I've got as well. So, there's mollies growing out, some bristlenoses, and some guppies as well. My guppies had fry this week.
Nice. And your mollies, what sort of mollies you got?
Silver sailfins and Dalmatian.
I like mollies. I think mollies are
Silver
cool.
sailfins are really nice.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the silver sailfins. I think they're gorgeous.
I definitely think mollies are cool fish. The only problem is you don't usually see good ones. Are you breakers watering the things, or are you doing like just straight out of the tap?
Just straight out of the tap. Yeah. No, so they're going good, and yeah, first spawn from the guppies, which was a impulse buy of mine a little while ago.
And what were those ones again? I know you sent me a photo, but I've forgotten completely.
Red cap koi.
Oh yeah. There are some cool ones around, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at this week.
Nice. Yeah, I like. I'm a fan of a good molly. You just don't see them very often. So
I'll send you some nice ones, mate.
They get a good size, and some of the sulfur ones are pretty wicked. So yeah, I think they're cool. What about you, Cameron? You had a birthday last week, eh? What'd you get for your birthday, eh? Punch in the face.
Just about. I was trying to think of something polite to say, but I couldn't think of it. Yep, I went around the sun another day, another year, another time. You know what I mean? So done and dusted. Yeah. What's been happening in my fish room? My flamme tetras have not hatched, so it's another wee fail. Yeah. Other than that, released a bunch of fish from out the back yesterday, so stocked up the shop full of fish, and yeah, that's kind of about it.
You said it in the thing. You sold some of your homebred guppies or live bearers and stuff in the store the other day. That was pretty big win for you, eh?
Yeah. So vast majority, if not all, of the live bearers that we stock are all bred in house. So you managed to sell a decent sales worth of guppies yesterday, which was kind of cool. Didn't really touch the sides of the amount of guppies that we've got sitting in the shop, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I literally just brought them into the shop maybe half an hour earlier, so it timed pretty well. So yeah.
And they bought quite a large number of them. Did they like the quality of them, or were they just like, I want a blue one and a pink one and a yellow one or whatever? What was their sort of mindset towards that?
So about every 6 months or so, she comes in and buys guppies, and she asks me to bag the individual color strains differently. So I think she is interested in guppies themselves. So general ratio is a male or two to a few females, and yeah, I think she got 4 different strains of guppies this time around.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. So you think she's a bit of a guppy connoisseur as such?
She absolutely is a guppy connoisseur.
An intentional guppy keeper.
Intentional guppy keeper. I like it.
Yeah.
And so, Helen, I don't think we need to go into this which one went first, because it would blow these guys' minds. It's just too much for them. Okay, it's too much for them on a Wednesday morning. It's too much for them in general. So they won't understand.
Is it like a Fast and Furious situation?
No.
Where they release movies not in order.
The Fast and Furious has nothing. You know, it's just.
Except the Fast and Furious drove a car to the moon. I mean, that's the best movie potential.
I mean,
ever.
I love
going to outer space.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Fast and Furious movies because there's absolutely no false advertising involved in them. You know exactly what you're going to get. Exactly what you're going to get. So like, and you know, if that's what you're in the mood for, you're going to get it. So they don't ever fail you in that regard. So they're great. And the first one was a really good movie. Rest of them, meh, whatever. But you know, okay, that sounds like. Oh, I've had lots of stuff in my fish room. What have I had done? What have I got done? I made a list even so that I didn't forget things. I cleaned my filters. I cleaned my Tokyo Drift was average. Anyway, sorry, I cleaned my canister filters. What's that?
Followed maybe by the Tokyo Drift was the best one, maybe followed by the first one. That's kind of up there, tied to the best ones.
I did not like Tokyo. I mean, Tokyo Drift was okay. I'll give it there, but yeah. To
be fair, I haven't watched anything other than those two and the one where they fly to the moon.
Yeah. There's so many stupid ones in there. That's awesome. I love it. We also didn't follow up on how many species we've bred because I didn't actually do it. So I don't know if you guys did it.
I did do it. I didn't count them though.
So you guys did do your homework?
I'll count them now while you keep talking.
I didn't do my homework, so I don't know. I started thinking about it, and then it got too overwhelming.
That's an F for you, a giant F.
I think I got to 40 that I've currently got. So I was like, oh, fuck this. It's too many.
Yeah, but they're all African cichlids, eh? So you can pretty much cut that down to 3 because it's the same fish, different paint job.
Okay, I've got my number.
Which
12.
is?
46.
Nice, you beat Ryan.
Yeah, you beat me.
You're the champion.
Because I look wider than the horizons of African cichlids.
Well, I started going into their pistos and I realised I'd bred like 10 or 15 species of dwarf cichlids too, and I was like, fuck this, it's too hard. And then I started going into the Americans and I was like, oh no. So I was like, yeah.
I ended up having to go onto different fish websites and scroll through what was on the market to be like, yep, I've had those and I've bred them. Yep, had those and I've bred them.
Neat.
Because my memory just couldn't keep up.
Imagine what it's like at my age.
Did you get that brochure on Somerset Village?
No, but I have had some interesting phone calls this week, which we'll talk about, and I'll bring that into the mail segment, I think. Which an interesting one last night, actually, from a fan of the show or someone on the show, I think Matt. But
did we get some listener mail?
I've been getting lots of mail.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots of mails or lots of mail?
Yeah. Anyway, the talk is already going into the topic, which is amazing. Everyone's staying on topic today, which we are not. We're not even on topic yet, and everyone's getting onto topic and getting excited about the topic. So, anyway, I cleaned my fish room filters. It's probably been about 3 years for the canister filters, and they were just like complete gunk. Like at one stage, I put my hand into the bucket that I was using to clean it out and pulled it out, and my arm was like black. It was like disgusting. It was, filthy. And then the tanks are like crystal clear. I even managed to stack one on top of the others and then tie it there with a strop and some foam so it doesn't fall off. So that looked pretty cool. It was like a leaning tower of filters. So I enjoyed that. I water tested my last tank for the fish room and it still leaks. So yeah, I hate that tank. That's okay. I stripped a buttload of Mumbuna last night, so that was pretty cool. Heaps and heaps of babies, so happy as with that. Graded a bunch of fish. Yesterday I got a phone call and was asked if I want an 8-foot, 2.3 by 800 by 800 tank in 12 mil glass, because apparently it wasn't wanted anymore and needed to go. It was in someone's office or something. So naturally I said no, because I have no room for it, but I do want it. And the guy that was rang me was sending me messages and he's like, oh, I've got to pull it apart to get it out of this office. And then 8 hours later, he sent me a video and he'd only managed to pull the front and the back pane off, and they were pulling a window out to get it out the door. So he'd spent 8 hours trying to pull this tank apart to get it out the bloody door, and only got the front and the back pane off, which kind of amused me, because I was thinking if I'm sitting there for 8 hours trying to scrape silicon out of a tank and pull it apart.
That's like, almost goals though, right? Having to remove a window to get a tank out.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Correct me up. But it was so I had obviously it was a tank, so I had 4 sides, like a tank, but it also had a really funny weir at the back for the overflow, which went full length front to back. So there was 2 panes of glass at the back, like in the last sort of 200 mils, 2 panes of glass there, with gaps at the top and one gap at the bottom, one gap at the top. So it went under and then over into the weir. So that would have made it significantly harder to get apart with those 2 panes of glass going full length, because you couldn't flex the sides to get any, it would have no flex in it. So it would be very tricky to get apart. I can see how you would have had trouble with it.
I think we've also just uncovered why your tanks keep leaking. You think that there's only 4 sides to an aquarium. So either you're missing one of the sides or the base.
Yeah.
But is the base a side?
Well, if you turn it, then it is.
Hey, but then it
I guess
doesn't
you
hold
can
the water.
say, I'll correct my statement. A base and 4 sides, with braces and a crazy weir thing in the middle. But I got a video at 8 o'clock last night saying it's outside on a pallet. If you want it, come get it. Apparently 12 mil ultra clear glass, only a year or 2 old.
And the seagull that you are went and got it?
I'm not getting it, because otherwise I'll end up with 20 or 30 tanks lying around the property again, and then I'll be in trouble all the time. I mean, I'm always in trouble anyway, but it'll just be another thing to be in trouble for. So, I don't need it. I want it, but I don't need it.
Yeah, correct your words here. I need it. I want it. I'm not going to get it.
I actually wanted to get it for a mate in Tauranga who builds plywood tanks, because sometimes to get a piece of glass, he's paying $600, $700, $800 to just a piece of glass for the front of these tanks, and to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because essentially the weir pieces are big enough to use for a front piece as well. He could get 5, 6 pieces of glass if he used the base as well, get it cut down, and get essentially like $4,000 worth of glass out of it. But the problem is, obviously, I've got to drive an hour and a half across Auckland with a trailer to pick it up and then transport it. These pieces of glass will be heavy, and then get it to Tauranga and stuff. So it ended up being a bit of a mission. But yeah, it was quite a funny story. Ryan, that fish has been a bully again. I don't know what fish you're talking about, Nella. But anyway.
Probably the one behind you bullying everything.
Use the wife's classroom as an excuse to get it. I think having a 1 meter tank in her classroom is like pushing it as far as I could. I started off with a 25 litre. She already bitches that she can't rearrange her office because the tank's in it. So I don't think I'll get any bigger there. It would pretty much fill up the whole wall behind me, and I really wanted to do it, but too many projects. If I finish the Holden, then maybe. So never.
So you're never going to get it done?
Yeah. I think that covers the fish room component of it, does it? Yeah. I also had a bunch of UV filters show up from AliExpress. Man, they look so cheap and nasty. I don't know if they're going to leak or explode or do anything. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. They're literally held together with silicone, so they're probably going to leak like everything else in one that's held together with silicone. So yeah, $85 for a UV with a spare bulb seems a bit cheap, and you get what you pay for. But we'll see. They might be amazing or they might be shit. It can go either way. What was next? Is it random question or is it listener mail?
Yeah, it's up to you. You're hosting.
Okay. We shall do the listener mail.
What do you got for us today?
We had some listener mail in the inbox. Cameron, can you read that out? Because I believe you orchestrated this mail or made sure that someone was going to.
I can't because I don't have access to the emails.
Okay.
This is your role, your job.
You didn't get access to the email. What? Okay, hang on. Oh God, this is great. This is great gold. We're like all half asleep today for some reason, eh? Or because it's early in the morning. And I thought that Cam had this sorted.
Okay, I'm in. Don't stress. Oh, you're in as well.
Nah, you're in. Go read it.
We have a question from a
I was like, is that just me or is that him?
Thomas, it's an HZ Ute, so it's not a VL. Although I do like the older newer ones as well, but it's an HZ Ute. And Cam is gone. Cam's checked out. He got the list of mail and then he died.
I'm still here.
You're still there?
I'm still here.
Whoa!
I'm still here.
Okay, cool. What was the question?
Just for the record, I'm having fantastic internet issues again today. The question from our listener, Chris, has said, hey, I've got a question for your next podcast. What fish food brand do you guys all believe is the best on the market in your own experience, i.e. low to no fillers, and if you could only have 3 food brands on the market and price was not an issue, which would you guys want? So it's a double barrel, that one. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know Ryan's favorite brand.
Yeah. I love me some Rapashi.
Yeah.
Not only do the fish love it, but my family hate it. So it is so good because it stinks out the kitchen and apparently it stinks out the fridge. So that's like a double barrel for me. If I can piss the teenagers off, even though they're pissed off anyway, it's always a good thing to do.
Always a win.
And since I've started feeding it a lot more, I've noticed the fish are, bigger, brighter, and breeding more often. So I like it. That's my first one. What do you guys reckon?
I would go the same. Yeah. Also, like I find that,
although I don't,
it's really good for. Carry on.
Far away. I'm stupidly laggy today. You guys just do you.
I was just going to say the waste product on it is pretty good as well. So even if it sits in the tank for a little bit, if you accidentally do an overfeed, it's not the end of the world. Yeah,
I've seen somewhere on the interwebs they reckon it can last like a couple of days in a tank without breaking down. Obviously, I would never recommend that with any feed product, but I wouldn't try that. But it is good to know that if you put some in for a fry, they're going to graze on it all day and it's not going to go rotten and stink up the tank. Cam likes Rapashi too.
Yeah, I'll try to talk. So by the time I've finished talking this little bit, you'll probably pick up where I'm going. And I'll start now.
No,
I don't think there is any one specific fantastic in everything range. I think overall, Rapashi is probably my favorite or my preferred overall fish food product or fish food brand, if that makes sense. I think all brands have got some products that are really good and others that are really average, but I think Rapashi overall as a whole is probably the top of the pops.
I really liked Omega 1 too when we could get it. It was a really good food. Didn't seem to be too filler based. I mean, obviously anything that's pelletized and flakerized is going to have fillers on it. So and like you say, so every brand has different things. Like Sarah, generally a lot of their flakes and pellets are rubbish, but they do have, I think some of the insect-based foods are a lot better quality, so again, you've got to pick through it. Hikari is pretty rubbish in general, I think. I'm a Hikari hater, but I feed pretty much Rapashi and New Life Spectrum in my fish room, so that's pretty much me. The New Life Spectrum is just because I don't think it's the best quality food, but I think it's pretty good quality, and you can get it in bulk. So I need to have something else other than Rapashi because otherwise the fish go to other people and they don't eat pellets, and then they don't do very well. So, yeah.
Even the listeners or even the watchers are giving me shit about being nasty now, you bastards.
About what?
About me living in Nelson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are one of the final frontiers of discovery in New Zealand, so it does make sense that you're one of the last people to get to go off dial-up internet, and sometimes it just reverts.
And so the follow-up question from Chris, let's stay back on topic, you dick, is if you could only have 3 food brands on the market and price was not an issue, which would you guys want?
I'm going with Repashy, so that's good. I can do that. But there are a few overseas brands that I'd like to try, but are not here yet, so that's a hard one as well. But I don't know how good they are. So, yeah. I think a lot of them are just rebranded other brands in a breeder or a fish farm's name, to be honest. So I'm pretty much sticking with the Repashy. I'll go Omega 1, even though we can't get it. And pretty much what I'm feeding currently. So there you go.
I would probably go with probably Repashy, Fish Science, and Sarah probably cover all of my bases pretty well, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd be Repashy, Sarah, and either NLS or Omega 1.
There you go. And so you guys
I'd prefer Omega over New Life Spectrum. I find the NLS stuff is quite ashy.
I do like New Life Spectrum. I am a fan, but I do think Omega 1 was better.
Yeah.
And so you guys like Sarah then, do you? Man, when I've tried it, I've tried some of the flakes. I guess it's flake food, so most people don't feed flakes, but I've tried the flake food. I didn't really like it.
I specifically like Sarah Insect.
Yeah.
And that's where in that range I'm all about.
It's also handy. They have some good bulk sizes as well. So
arguably all of them do. We just don't get them all here in New Zealand.
I should really follow up about the tropical food actually, because tropical do bulk as well. But yeah.
Rebecca has brought up a really good point in the chat here that I love. Fish science is nice for carnivores, for algivores not the best. Wood and fish food done more research, and it infers it can cause liver disease in fishes. I didn't know that. I think that's quite interesting.
I think food is just amazing. The stuff for fish is not really that well researched. Like a lot of the research is done on aquaponics.
Yeah,
and most of that aquaculture and stuff. And it's more to do with growing the fish up as fast as possible, rather than having the fish live as long as possible. You know, so obviously they do want the breeders to live, but I think they'll be churning through them as well and just growing them up until they get to the optimum size and stuff, and then they'll be gone. But it's really interesting. I think that's interesting, and we probably won't find a lot of research on it because a lot of it is just filler based and cheap, you know. I do think tropical could be quite good too, but I haven't done a lot of work on that yet because Aquahouse brings it in, eh?
Mm-hmm. I quite like the soft line range of tropical food. I've played around with that, and I quite like it. Very similar along the lines of a lot of European foods like the JBL and the Sierra. It's their standard product is kind of of the line, baseline sort of stuff, and the soft line is a little bit better, but we're not talking astronomical, groundbreaking better. But I do think the soft line is a grade above your standard normal commercial stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Listener mail. Yeah, more listener mail. I've been getting phone calls from random people. So from someone, I think it's Matt, but we'll see. So this week I was sitting on the couch watching TV. This has happened to me twice this week, actually. The first one was from the men's health clinic to discuss my erectile dysfunction. So I had a very lovely nurse ring me up and say she was from the men's health clinic and she understands that I'm having problems with erectile dysfunction and it is a very major problem. And she gave me all some statistics on it and was trying to reassure me that, you know, I'm not alone and that they've got a good, safe place to sort it all out and all this sort of stuff. And I said, oh, look, you're getting pranked. Like, I didn't put that in. And she did not believe me. Basically, she didn't believe me at all. She was just like, oh, yeah, okay. Right, well, we can help you, you know, and you know, we are here if you need us and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, no, it's just a prank. It's just some mates. And she's like, they've got a lot of your details here. They got your phone number. They got all this stuff. I was like, yeah. And then she's like, okay, well, you know, we are if you need it. And then straight away they send me this text saying it is essential to treat erectile dysfunction and PE, whatever that is, premature ejaculation, I guess, as these conditions progress and worsen over time. Men's health clinic is often able to successfully treat patients where general practice has failed, and then some links to some more information. So they don't believe me. But anyway, that was fun. And then last night I got another call from a pet insurance company for my Sphinx cat called Mick Baldi. So that one was quite funny too. And I actually played along with her for a while. And she was like, oh, I've got for your Sphinx cat. And she's like, MC Baldi. And I was like, what's its name? I was like, his name's Mick Baldi. And she's like, oh, it's a funny name for a Sphinx cat. Has he got no hair? And all this stuff, chatting away to me and stuff. So yeah, that was a funny one too. So I've got a bunch of quotes here for my Sphinx cat called Mick Baldi sitting in my email address from Pet Insure. So interesting times. And I think it's pretty sure it's Matt, but no one has actually come forwards yet no one's come clean about that one yet. So it was amusing.
For the record, if it is any of the watchers either live or afterwards that are doing this, it is fantastic work. Keep it up. Keep it up. And send it all. Keep it up. That was a pretty good pun. I didn't even think about that one. Keep sending them Ryan's way. Well, I said keep it up after you were talking about your erectile dysfunction.
The funniest thing was that she didn't believe me at all. Like she was just like, yeah.
So for the people that haven't been following, what's your list at now of the referrals that you've made for yourself? Because you've had others as well, right?
I've had a lot of hair loss clinics ringing me, and erectile dysfunction clinics now, and then pet insurance now. So this is interesting. It's going good. Yeah. I'm getting access to a whole bunch of support I didn't realize that I had. So it's great for my mental health, mental and physical health. So thank you.
Is it beginning to eat into your standard work day yet? Because that'll be hilarious if it does.
Nah, they call in the evenings, so they're quite smart.
Oh.
I guess that when they get the most people, they would know when they get the most people.
Yeah, probably.
And I was actually really impressed with the quality of the men's health clinic lady that was ringing. She was real good, really good. Like it wouldn't be an easy thing to ring someone and talk about, I wouldn't think. So she did a really good job. So, I also almost had to issue a retraction of a statement that I made about Aramex this week too. I've ordered something from Irrigation Express because that's where I get most of my stuff for my water change system from.
They're good there, right?
They're really good and they're really cheap and really efficient, but they use Aramex for shipping. So I ordered it like a week and a half ago, and then maybe a week later I got a tracking number, and the day after I got the tracking number, a package showed up, and I was like, what? Hang on, I got an Aramex shipping number, and then the package showed up, but it was only half the order. So it turns out when I'd ordered it a week and a half ago, they'd sent the first half, and it took a week and a half to get there. But initially I thought, damn, Aramex has got fast. I got a tracking number yesterday and it arrived, but the tracking number was for the second lot, and that took another week to come as well. So, I apologize that I might have got people excited that Aramex is not crap. Aramex is crap, and abandon hope if you ever get a package sent with them. Random question. Now, apparently we have to put this out to the crowd as well. So if would like to answer the random question, you're welcome to on here or on YouTube, or people can comment on podcasts, can they?
Yeah, there is a little comment section in the podcast on Spotify and whatnot.
Do we check it though?
I do check it.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, comment afterwards.
For those that have been with us for a little while, you might have recently found a whole lot of replies to our stuff on YouTube and the podcast, some of it upwards of a year old. I just replied to all of them over the last couple of weeks. I'm efficient, just like Aramex.
Hey, if you do it within a year, you're doing better than Aramex. So, it's pretty good going. If you do it at all, you're doing better than Aramex. So the question is, I don't know if I've done this one before. It seems familiar, but I don't know. If you lost all of your possessions but one, what would you want it to be?
Can we use plural, like children or fish tanks? Are children a possession? They're not a possession. Do they count?
No.
Oh, we're talking about physical stuff. Can we use the words?
We're talking about like
aquariums, fish room, or does it have to be a singular item?
If you lost everything and you had a fish room, you'd have nowhere to put it because you just have a bunch of fish tanks sitting on the side of the road. So that would probably not work very well.
But the question is, I'd like to say my fish room.
Yeah, he died. What do you reckon, Matt? If you lost all your possessions except for one, what would you want it to be?
Probably my fish tanks. Keep those. Everything else can go.
So you're just sitting on the side of the road, surrounded by a bunch of empty fish tanks, going, "Yeah, I've got heaps of tanks. This is great."
Someone will feel sorry for me. If I'm sitting there and I've got anything that's of relative use to anyone else, then they're just going to go, it's just another bum. But if I'm sitting on the side of the road with a bunch of fish tanks, they're going to go, that guy needs help.
No, they're probably going to not make eye contact and cross the road.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, nah, bugger that. We don't want to go near that guy. What do you reckon, Cam? What was your thing? You come back now, I think.
I'm going to stick with my fish room because I don't think you emphasised the question enough not to allow me to have the entire room. I've lost everything but my fish room.
Yeah, so you're sitting on the side of the road with your fish room.
Yep. That works for me.
Yeah, no power, nothing. Just a bunch of dead fish.
No, you didn't stipulate that. I've still got my fish room running fine.
I'm going to go with a car because at least you can live in it and get places and work and stuff. You've got to be practical with this.
But you're not going to have any money. You've lost your wallet.
But I can get a new one.
And you've lost your car keys, so you can't drive it anyway.
Well, you've lost your fish room, but you've lost the power. So, well, maybe we need to get. Well, next time we get a random question generator, we need to get the 10 pages of terms and conditions that go alongside it and try and qualify it properly. But anyway, volume and footprint. This is something that I come across a lot. What do you guys think? Generic question sent out to the universe. Matt, what do you think? What is the difference? Well, we know what the difference is, but what's the difference between volume and footprint? Go.
Volume, we're talking about total litres, or how much water your tank can hold. Footprint, we're talking about your width by your length. So the actual
Some
space.
Some people refer to it as girth.
Yeah. Well, why do I agree with that?
But girth is a more three-dimensional measurement, isn't it, than a two-dimensional measurement? Footprint is two-dimensional.
Where's the third dimension in girth?
What's round, not flat.
So more volume.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I come across it a fair bit, and there's been questions recently from some people who are wanting to breed African cichlids and are wondering whether they should go for litres or for footprint. And so that's always something to consider in terms of the size of the fish, what species they are, and what space they're going to need. You don't necessarily need to go for litres when sometimes you can get away with the actual footprint. I think,
agreed,
Ryan, your tanks are a good example. If you want to have, if you could,
this is a bad example.
That's a bad example, but in your fish room.
yeah. I'm getting away with this one though because there's just so many fish in it. Anyway, yes. So for me, I deal with a lot of territorial fish, so they want to have their own little space. So the male needs to have his little space, and the females need to have their little space. Otherwise, things start dying. So I wanted to fit as many aquariums in as I could, and it was better to have long flat aquariums than tall aquariums because then you can stack them on top of each other. So I made a whole bunch of aquariums, aka sieves, for my fish room. And most of the ones that I made are 900 by 750 by 250 tall, so they are pretty long and flat.
Was that 900 by 750 by 250 tall that we said?
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
So they're big, long, flat ones. Everything along the whole wall of my fish room, well, one wall is 750 front to back.
Yeah.
So they, when you think about it, they have basically the same footprint as a 5 foot long tank, but in a 3 foot tank. And I've managed to fit 12 of them in there,
Oh.
Or 9 of them in there, sorry.
Yeah.
My maths isn't so good today. 9 of them, 12 on the other side. The other side's got 900 by 450 by 250s, again, working on the same principle. So, yeah, that gives them a lot of footprint. Obviously, volume is also important in terms of waste and stocking. So that's where you've got a bit of a balancing act. These tanks are not very good grow out tanks because the amount of waste produced, you can't stock them like a 5 foot tank because they just don't have that much water. I overcome that a little bit by adding extra filtration and by cranking up the water change system. But it is always a balancing act. You kind of want both, right? But for African cichlids, if you can choose, I'd always say go for footprint over volume. People come to me, I've got a 300 litre tank, but it's ridiculously tall like this one. There's no territory, and all their fish are sitting smashed at the top of the tank because the males claimed the whole bottom. Also, for footprint, we're talking about gas exchange at the surface as well. So gas exchange at the surface is important as well, right? The amount of CO2 that can actually be expelled out of the tank, so the fish can breathe, is important. If you've got a very tall, skinny tank, that area is very small. Again, you can mitigate that with extreme aeration, because the aeration increases the surface area at the top of the tank, but it is a consideration.
I actually saw a really interesting tank setup in a shop the other day. Not a pet store, just a retail store. And it looked to be about a 200-litre tank, but there was no sort of cabinet at the top. And they had the glass coming all the way over, and there's just a very small piece where they could open up to feed, but they had the water all the way to the top. And that was sort of something that I was thinking there is that gas exchange and how they would deal with that, especially with the water all the way to the top. And literally, we're only talking about the space to get into the actual tank.
Yeah, wow.
There'd also be the potential of some sort of random capillary action, sort of sucking some water out of the tank and dripping and leaking everywhere when you fill them too much like that. Random leaks occur, I've found. Water seems to get sucked in between things and spit out the side somewhere.
Is that because of your silicon jobs?
No, that's just science.
All right.
You
can't bring science to an idiot's podcast.
But my aquariums with the leaks don't tend to get that full. They're self-regulating. It's the design. It's like I had a car once that used so much oil between oil changes, I didn't even have to change the oil. It was great. It was just a constant loss system. You know, you just keep topping it up. You know,
job done.
Great. So yeah, what would you say? I mean, what sort of? So we're saying fish that need a big footprint. What are we talking about there? What are we saying?
That need a big footprint, or do better
do better in a big footprint tank?
I think most catfish would fall into that situation. And although we're thinking footprint
so you're
at the bottom,
why would you say a catfish? Like, because they're quite territorial, right? They like their own little space, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and they're hanging around the bottom, which means allows you to provide more territory for them, to create more territory for them to take claim of. They're not, mid-swimming fish that are needing that body of water in the middle to survive or to be comfortable. They're towards the bottom of that. But in the flip of that, I would say Arowanas, for example, probably need a large footprint because they want the ability to swim back and forward and turn around from the side, if that makes sense. In the same way, they're a different point of the water column, but still need that length and width to work with.
But you look at the geometry of an Arowana, and it's really long and skinny, right? So you probably want a really long and skinny tank for it as such. Obviously, they can do with some depth too, because they get quite a bit of height in them, but not really.
Yeah.
And they kind of used to living in puddles and jumping out of them and eating stuff off the plants, aren't they? So yeah, they need to be able to turn around. So that makes sense. So for them, it's probably not so much a territory thing. It's probably more of a being able to actually physically being able to swim and have some sort of quality of life thing.
Yeah, use their muscles.
I'd put angelfish in there as well, and a bit of a combination, needing the space to actually swim, but also having their own territory.
And they need some height as well, right? As well, angels.
Yeah. So you kind of got to go for that trifecta of it. But yeah, see a lot of angelfish in small footprint tanks.
Yeah,
and they're territorial fish.
Yeah. I had a group of angels in my 7-foot tank, and watching them shoal together as a group was really, really interesting behaviour that I haven't seen in a smaller. People keep them in 3 and 4-foot tanks. You've never sort of see that working together combination, and even sort of hunting down bits of live food together. They would sort of trap the bits into a corner and take sort of turns picking off little bits and pieces. So they were quite fun to watch them exhibit natural behavior in a larger footprint.
And most people won't see that from angels because they're usually in tanks too small. They're usually just messing each other up and just tearing and eating all their tank mates and stuff. So it's not usually a good environment for them. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of the big aquascapers use angels in their big, massive aquascapes they do, is because they look good in them, and they work well in them. And they give them a bit of height and a bit of depth as well. So discus are the same. They need some height, but they also need some space to swim around, because a non-stunted, non-crap discus can get quite big and quite impressive.
Correct. Yeah.
Unfortunately, most people will never get the chance to see that, but it can happen.
Yeah. What about the likes of shell dwellers and rock dwelling, not so much in Boonas, but your dwarf Tanganyikans? How do they work with height over a length or a width?
Yeah, they don't care about height at all.
Yeah, I was just going to say, shell dwellers, you can get away with your footprint rather than anything else. They hang down the bottom with their shells and they're happy.
My shell dwellers don't seem to even like the 250 tall tanks, because they still sit down the bottom, wait for the food to come to them. Sometimes they like zip up the top and grab something, but you can tell it's like a mercy dash. They're zipping up there as fast as they can to get it, and then race back down to the bottom where they feel safe.
I'd really like it if, as a general aquarium community, we went from talking about how many litres we've got and changed it to how long and how wide our aquariums are, to work on how we can stock them. I personally think that's a way better way of working out whether an aquarium is suitable for inhabitants or not. For that reason, like, you could have a 30,000 litre aquarium that's 1 million meters high, and you're going to put Shellies in it, so it's just an absolute waste of water.
Yeah,
that's a pretty extreme example, but you know where I'm going with that.
Well, you see a lot of them. You see, it is, people tend to want a taller aquarium because it takes up less space in their house.
They also look quite impressive. The height of an aquarium can look quite impressive. That sort of changes.
This thing behind me looks pretty cool. Like, it's like a TV. It's awesome. It is actually a really impressive tank. I wish it was. We all wish it was longer, but it was. I wish it was the whole.
You've got a phone number to talk to someone about that.
Exactly. Yeah. But interestingly enough, the Shellies that I've got in with my Tropheus are like almost lower to mid-water dwellers now. I've been observing them, and so are the Julies. Now, I don't know if that's a case of they have to be to get food, or if it's a case of they are more confident because the other fish are out and about and higher, and it brings them out. Because usually when I get them in a species tank, they're quite hiding by their shells, sort of zip in and then come poke their heads out and stuff and keeping an eye on stuff. So yeah, it was very interesting.
I think Cam's point on trying to change the thinking around litres is quite a good one. And I think the change has been more recent, or in the last 5 years or so. You can buy a lot of, let's call them cheaper tanks around your 150 litres, and people think that it's 150 litres. That's a big tank, but they're quite slim, and that's partly, I guess, as people move to these. Our housing is getting smaller. Everyone's wanting slimline everything, and that thought that it's a big tank because it's 150 litres isn't necessarily the right assumption.
Yeah, I agree, and the footprint of it's important. I have discussions with people like this all the time. People tell me oh, my fish aren't getting along. I've got a 300 litre tank. I've got a 200 litre tank. I was like, what does it measure? Oh, I don't know. I don't have measuring tape. The shop just told me it was 200 litres. It's a 50 gallons, whatever it is. And I was like, yeah, here we go. What? Yeah.
So it's like the cylinders. Like if you've got a 150 litre cylinder, it's not really ideal for Danios, for example, that want to zip back and forth. But because I've got 150 litres, I've got all the room in the world to play with. It's a similar thing. Like probably need to accommodate what the fish want as far as the aquarium goes at the same time.
I'd say most fish do better with footprint than with considering footprint over volume. But volume is definitely needed for waste.
Correct.
For waste absorption, waste distribution, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
Waste dilution, I guess, is the thing.
Dilution.
Yeah. And that's where, like, this behind me has a pretty shitty footprint, 1500 by 600, but it's got a volume of like 900 litres with the sump as well. So a massive sump underneath. So I can overstock it to overcome the footprint by spreading the targets out. Again, it's all management and understanding. Yeah, and I think it's Rebecca, the freshwater, I can't pronounce that word, just made some comments about access and stuff too. Like if you've got my 900 by 750 tanks are an absolute bugger to catch fish in. They're terrible. Like it's not practical at all. Mind you, my fish room is not very well built for practicality. It was designed to fit as many tanks in as possible. You know, if I did it again, I'd leave a lot more space on top of the tanks. Also, when you've got them racked up like that, the backs of the tanks are extremely dark, so it's very hard to see fish in them. So yeah, there are considerations. Same with a deep tank like this. I can't reach the bottom of it. You know, I'm basically jumping in, going for a swim.
Yeah, my 7-footer at the back is really tall, and I find that incredibly awkward to work with. It looks incredibly impressive because it's so tall, but I can't really get to the back of it either, and it's only 500 wide, so it's very thin. But because it's in your face big, it seems massively tall, massively huge, but it's not. But yeah, that depth, height makes it really hard to get down to the back corner, even though it is very narrow and thin.
And this one here used to be a nightmare to clean the algae off until I got the flipper. And now it's easy to clean the algae off because I don't have to go in there. But I was having to reach in the top and scrape it and get Kim to her much of her, she used to love it, is spot the algae for me so I could scrape it off, and she'd point at it and I'd scrape it because I couldn't see it while I was physically looking in the top. So I did have once, I wish I'd set them up, some 1.2 long by 1.2 tall by 400 tanks made out of like 19 one plate out of like 19 mil glass.
Wow.
They came out of, there was 3 of them. I only ended up with 1. 3 of them that came out of a wall in a shop. I think there was like 3 going up the wall in a big massive like retail complex. And again, practically I never set it up because I was like, this thing's, and I couldn't even get anywhere near the bottom. You get halfway down the tank, you couldn't even catch a fish out of it. I can't even remember where that went. But yeah,
man, that's impressive height.
Yeah,
that'd be even scary at 19 mil glass.
Yeah, I never worked out the safety factor on it, but it would have been borderline.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Cool.
What more have we got to add on this? Are we running out of ideas, or are we good?
It feels like we might be exhausting it, unless Matt's got some more.
Matt's got.
I'm trying to. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shots fired.
You got more here. You got more here than McBaldi, that's for sure. The Sphinx. He's going to be insured soon. He doesn't even exist.
Oh. I didn't know what you were talking about for a second there.
What's that?
I didn't know what you were talking about for a second.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about there for a second. Yeah, okay, yep.
I would love to claim this, but I can't. I think it's a brilliant idea, and whoever's doing it like hats off to them, but I can't claim it.
And we also encourage it if there's anyone that are crafty enough, which is pretty much everybody.
I put it on speaker last night, and me and the missus was sitting there just cracking up on the couch listening to this lady talk about Baldi the Sphinx and how it was a cool name and what sort of insurance cover we wanted and stuff. I was like, oh, that's so funny. So funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are you keeping a running tally or a register on all of the bald jokes that are coming your way?
No, I think it would outnumber the number of fish that I've bred if I kept track of it.
Not bad. It's not bad at all.
All right. Well, I feel like that's it. Unless you guys have got more to add. Cam, now it's time for you to look up what next week's episode is so that we can have an awkward silence. And
well, you see, I prepared myself earlier, and I have already done that.
What is it? What are we doing next week?
So next week we are revisiting another topic that we've already done, and this has been requested by a listener. I don't have any information on who the listener was, but we are segueing back from today's listener question into a food revisit again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this has been, it was on our list. It was a listener topic. So whoever that was that asked us to do this about 6 months ago, we're still doing better than Aramex. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, we're going to deliver something. Can't say it's going to be quality. Can't say it's what you ordered, but we're going to deliver something. So we're going to be doing better than Aramex.
So next week's topic is we're talking about fish food. Maybe we could be logical and semi-structure it before we get onto it. We probably won't, though. Fish food is a pretty large topic.
It is a large topic, and also I'm the first to admit that the more I think I know about fish food, the less I actually know about fish food, and the more confused I get. So, yeah, I just go around in circles with it. I don't know. And also, with measuring an aquarium, is it length, width, height, or depth? Some people call depth front to back and depth height. What do you reckon?
Length, width, height.
Length, width, height.
Yeah. Whenever I type it out, I always, so there is zero confusion, write LWH in brackets after the number. So
what is the depth of an aquarium to you guys? Is it how deep it is or how deep it is front to back?
If you say depth, I think front to back.
It's funny, if you say depth, I think height.
I think height because of how deep it is. But
because you could jump in a swimming pool that's 2 meters deep. It's 2 meters deep.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
No, you guys are old school. Get with the program.
You're just wrong.
Yeah.
I'll wait until we start pulling out the feet, the 5x2x2. Then your mind will be blowing.
Someone
6x2x2 is a good size. That is a good size aquarium, the 6x2x2.
Yeah, 6x2x2.
In inches.
Classic.
Yeah, I do love it. And 4x2x2, those are two of the nicest shaped aquariums around.
Oh yeah.
The 2x2 I think is the emphasis of a nice shaped tank.
Oh, and it gives you footprint and volume. There you go. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we look forward to arguing about fish food next week. And thanks for listening, if you did. And make sure you comment on the random question. We'll see you guys later.
Cool.
Maybe we just get Rebecca on and she can just run it.
Now, that's been your best idea. That's been the best idea in a long time.
But then, I don't think she's an idiot. I think she's actually quite intelligent.
Yeah, she's far from an idiot status.
Yeah, so I don't know if she'll qualify. She's probably too qualified for this job. We have to get the political Cam back on. Yeah, I'm trying to get Cam back on, but yeah. Very busy man.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
We good? Pushing the button off now?
Bye.
Have a good day.